everyone. I'm Tanya Rivero. Thank you for joining us. The accused gunman behind Thursday's shooting in Annapolis, Maryland, has been denied bail. Jarrod Ramos was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder. Police say Ramos shot up the Capitol Gazette newsroom with a pump-action shotgun. Police confirm his rampage began by him shooting through a glass door. Officials say he was also carrying smoke grenades. We've learned Ramos was identified using facial recognition technology because he refused to identify himself. This morning, the Anne Arundel County District Attorney detailed the reason behind withholding bail.
In assessing the evidence in this case, we brought to the judge's attention the evidence that suggested a coordinated attack, the barricading of a back door, and the use of a tactical approach and hunting down and shooting the innocent victims in this case. It was upon those facts that Judge Prowl relied upon to hold Mr. Ramos without bail.
CBS News national correspondent Chip Reid is in Annapolis, Maryland, and joins us now. Chip, what other new details did we learn from today's court hearing and news conference with police? We did get a few more details about the shooting.
We did. 2 essential details, and number 1 is that Ramos had a plan to escape. The prosecutor would not give us details of that, but they are confident that he was not planning to be killed. This was not suicide by police. This was not something about where he didn't care whether he lived or survived. He wanted to kill as many people as he could, and he wanted to get out of there. Now, he was found hiding under a table. We already knew that, but the other thing we learned is that he barricaded the back door. There was no place for people to go. They were trapped. They couldn't get out the back. They couldn't get out the front because that's where he came in and had shot out the glass windows and doors. They were too afraid to go that direction. And sadly, I can say that the prosecutors told us that one person who tried to escape through the back door was unable to get through, and that is when Ramos shot and killed him. Oh,
the terror that must have been so palpable in that newsroom. Chip, now we understand the suspect is still not cooperating much with police, but what more have you learned about his past and his previous legal battle with the newspaper?
Well, he had a multi-year battle with the newspaper. It started back in 2011 after he had been convicted of misdemeanor harassment in stalking and harassing a woman. And then a few days later, the Capitol Gazette, one of the writers there, who's no longer there, wrote a piece about that called "Jarrod Wants to Be Your Friend," because they had found each other. He had found this woman on Facebook, and he began very quickly harassing her, threatening her, and it went on for quite a while, and she brought charges, and he was convicted of misdemeanor harassment. He then sued the paper for defamation, and that was thrown out of court, and he's been bitter about that ever since. He has threatened the newspaper. Back in 2013, the police asked the newspaper if they wanted to press charges, and they said no, because they were afraid it would make the situation even more flammable.
And Chip, you sat down and spoke with the lawyer who represented the woman that Ramos allegedly harassed. Let's play part of your interview.
Who did it? He did it.
And you've said it was inevitable.
It was inevitable.
That he would eventually
was going to do
something
something violent. The only question was, who would he get first?
That's a scary comment. Chip, he wasn't at all surprised that Ramos is the suspect here. But do we know then if Ramos was on the radar of the paper and of police prior to the shooting?
Yeah, the lawyer, Brennan McCarthy, told us that he was very much on the radar of police and the mental health community, and certainly the newspaper. They had put up with 2 years of threats, perhaps more than that. But McCarthy, the lawyer, told us that the legal system in this free country is simply not equipped, does not have the tools to deal with somebody. We've seen this over and over again in these mass shootings. Somebody who everybody thinks is dangerous, somebody who has made threats, somebody who is mentally ill, but has not crossed into the kind of overt criminal behavior that puts you behind bars. And it's very difficult to deal with a situation, and they simply were not able to do anything to put him behind bars. They did convict him of misdemeanor harassment, and they had 2 protective orders against him, but that obviously was not nearly enough to stop him.
And do we know anything about the weapons he used? Did he get them legally?
We don't know much about that. We do know that it was a shotgun, a 12-gauge shotgun, I'm told, and that he reloaded and intended to reload again, but the police arrived there in time to keep that from happening.
And Chip, what about the victims' colleagues? How are they holding up? I mean, it's unbelievable the Capitol Gazette was able to turn out a newspaper this morning.
It absolutely was, but I think that is their solace at this point. I think that obviously they are suffering tremendously. This is a very small town, it's a very small newspaper. Everybody in Annapolis knows people at the Capitol Gazette. They read the paper, they know the people. It's really a tight community, and the paper even more so. I think what's keeping them going is that they have a paper to put out, or as one person put it in putting out the paper this morning, we're going to get the damn paper out. They are determined to persevere. And
they dramatically left that opinion page blank in honor of the victims. That was quite an image. All right, Chip Reid, thank you.
My pleasure.